the reason we had to make a phone was because all the way down in the OS level, there were vulnerabilities. Put it this way. When I first started Wise Phone, I tried to turn off everything on Android. I'm like code hacking, just like shutting off every single function on the device to see how minimal I could get it. And at the end of the day, the Google search bar could not be removed. That's a major vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And there's factory resets and there's weird little backdoor ways and backdoor browsers, and there's just 100 little gotchas. And so we had to go I didn't want to. We had to go all the way to the OS level, back to the manufacturer for code that gets written once on a chip in order to ensure that this thing would be safe.
Wow. And welcome, friends, to the Generations Broadcast. Kevin Swanson, your host with you today as we come back to one of the most important subjects of the 21st century, and that's how we deal with technology. And some of you know I've finished the book Epoch, The Rise and Fall of the West, and my favorite chapter is really the rise and fall of science, because science is my background, technology, engineering, that was where I came from. And indeed, we saw a tremendous rise of technology and science, and we are blessed with so much of the science and technology that has been added to modern life in the last 200 years, but also we are finding something of a decline of science and technology. It's hurting us. And I think there are a lot of people throwing the flag on the play on this. In fact, in my book, I wrote out most modern man has lost a grip on the definition of that which is essentially good. Since technology has enabled easy pornography access at every moment of the day, gene-edited designer children, et cetera, who wouldn't bother us with their problems? Well-cultivated relationships by social media and ever-fluctuating cryptocurrency values. Did all this amount to an existential good? In the tech-savvy age, folks, personality fades. Human relationships, increasingly tenuous, short-lived, shallow, broken, or non-existent. There was a time for genuine relationships. There was no time for genuine relationships, no time for worshiping God, children, marriage, family, community. No longer a blessing in a media-saturated life of self-worship, entertainment, escapism, convenience, distraction, and depersonalization. The good life was no longer seen as rooted in relationships, voluntary giving, self-denial, service. For modern life, with its big government security, access to information technology, and big insurance programs geared to insulate us from all of the problems of life, but what was the good life anyway? An assessment of the sum total effect of the entire conglomeration of modern technology upon human society would have found that there was enough to destroy humankind, or at least subjugate him. According to a Nielsen study in 2016, the average American adult spends 10 hours and 32 minutes on unproductive uses of media per day, an increase of 10% from the previous year, and only increasing year by year to this point. Most of the electronic usage was live television, time-shifted television, AM and FM radio, smartphones, etc. That amounted to 65% of waking hours dedicated to entertainment as compared to 35% committed to productive labor. Media consumption for adults averaged only 2.5 hours back in 1960, then 4.25 hours in 1980. Now, what is it? 10 hours of unproductive media consumption. Up from 2.5 hours in 1960, up from 4.25 hours from 1980. The shift to a counterproductive technology and ruinous science occurred just after the turn of the 21st century. God created man with the intent that he would take dominion over creation, but modern technology has taken dominion over man. Maybe Jacques Ellul had a point. This was one of the writers from the 1960s, certainly a cultural commentator that many were listening to at that time. He said, the human being who acts and thinks today is not situated as an independent subject with respect to a technological object. He is inside the technological system. He is himself modified by the technological factor. The human being who uses technology today is by the very fact the human being who serves it. And conversely, only the human being who serves technology is truly able to use it today. Well, somewhat of a negative commentary on modern technology. And I think Jacques Ellul wrote that back in the 1960s. So what would he say about the 2020s? Who knows? But friends, it's not for us as Christians to submit ourselves to technology as if we serve technology. Technology itself should serve us. So are we on the upside of this or the downside of this? That's the question today as we get into this question of technology and how we use it in our families. And we want to get to some of the solutions to this as well with techlist.org and the Wise Phone. Chris Kasper is the president of this company, techlist.com, and they have produced an amazing product called the Wise Phone. You can catch that at wisephone.com as well. Chris, welcome to the Generations broadcast. Good to have you here. We're talking solutions today.
Man, I gotta say, just listening to that intro, I speak about this stuff all the time, and you are on the tip of the spear. You really have wrapped your mind. I can count on one hand the people that speak theologically about this that actually understand what they're talking about. So I'm very, very excited about our conversation today.
I think a big part of this for me, Chris, was at some point, I can't remember when it was. It might have been 5, 6, 8, 10 years ago. I don't know when, but we went on a media fast as a family. I think it was 3 months or something. We cut it all off, and it really gave us a great opportunity to kind of see what was happening to us. You don't always know what's going on with you. You're kind of like the proverbial frog in the slowly boiling water, and it's just kind of like getting nice and warm and cozy, and you're not really knowing what technology is doing to you. And I think when we went on that media fast, I think we cut out all media for like 3 months. It really kind of gave us a sense for what real life was all about.
Yeah, you get a pretty clear sense of what you have to have in life when you take it away.
Yeah, exactly.
I think BBC just did an article, and the author gave his 16-year-old daughter our phone, and she just threw a hissy fit. I mean, just total meltdown, destruction mode. And I think he came out with a second article after that first reaction, just saying, "Wait a second, I think this is a sign of what needs to change, not of what," so you hit the nail on the head.
Exactly. And, I think as Christians, and you're a man of faith, and we have a Christian organization. We're really trying to equip Christian families, homeschool families all over the world. And wow, you've got to be on your game. The biblical principles tying into this is, I think it's Ephesians 5. It says, redeeming the time for the days are evil. And God has called us to be ruling over, the creation, taking good care of these things, stewarding these things. And you just can't do that if the thing is ruling over you. Does that make sense? If you're on the wrong side of that, you're not going to be able to, kind of be in control of the things that God has given to you.
Yeah. And we have 6 kids. We homeschool as well. We're in the camp with you. And I think just the function of immersion, what are you soaking yourself in?
Yeah.
And if you really think about it, what technology is and everything that it's for and geared for, and its purpose is so different than our intentions for our lives, for our kids' lives. The wisdom behind it is just not the direction we want to go. So we're systematically looking at that.
Yet there's a reason for technology. I'm using it right now. We're enjoying technology on our little Riverside.fm, whoever they are. They did a good job putting this together so I can talk to you. I guess you're in England. I'm out here in Colorado, so we're having a conversation across the big pond. And but so there's a reason for it, and there is a proper use. And what is that? Can you kind of, synopsize that for us as a homeschool dad of 6?
Yeah, you sort of led with this. It's like, what's our purpose in life? That's the ultimate question you have to ask. And God said, go forth, take dominion. That includes the use of technology, and there are very awesome, amazing, redemptive, positive purposes of that God can redeem. And there's terrible, awful, negative, distracting, life-destroying versions of it that are, used by tool of Satan. And there's the continuum of the things in between. But ultimately, we're here to bring him glory. And so how can we use practical tools to do that?
Yeah. And I think, we just need to ask ourselves, is this edifying? That's a big word, right? We use that word. Is it edifying? At the end of the day, was I edified? Were we edified? Or was this just kind of a weird waste of time? And I was actually increasingly stressed out by, clicking on way too many stories about conspiracies or, whatever it was. It really didn't edify me, And when we say edify, I guess, we're better for it. We're better spiritually. We're better emotionally. We're better physically for the sorts of things that we've inputted into our systems. And obviously technology can be used for work, right? I mean, so there are certain things that we can look at technology and say, I use some really, effective means of technology. This morning, we pulled together our entire staff on a media call just to pray for 10 minutes. I mean, that's an example. And by the way, we just started doing this on Monday. We started just anybody who's anywhere near the phone, you guys can join in 9 to 10 a.m. So we have 6 or 8 people just praying together just to kick off the day. Be sure the day kicks off in the right way. So, I mean, obviously, there are good ways to use technology.
Yeah. And back to the edifying piece, and even back to the science piece that you opened with, I think if you follow the science now, we've learned in today's social media world, but also you follow God's greatest commandments. 1, love the Lord. 2, love people. Mm-hmm. And technology, largely speaking, consumer tech has become an increasingly large distraction to it. And I think that's the very heart of the non-edifying piece of it, is it's been a distraction to actually our greatest purpose, which is relationship, which you also referenced.
That's right.
That's the reason why we're going into such dark places really within the last 60 to 100 years.
Yeah, losing relationship. Honestly, I think that's the number one thing. Modern man is he's lost and lonely. That's the way I put it at the very beginning of this broadcast 22 years ago. When I started out, I said, we want to address a situation where modern man is lost and lonely. He's lost without God's truth. He's lonely without relationships. And boy, that's not a very fun life to live. So, I think that pretty much synopsizes the worldview perspective that we're taking to a world that has lost these values. Okay, so why Techless? Let's talk about the solution. What does Techless do? Big picture.
Yeah. So high level, I serve believers and non-believers. So we get to have a really cool conversation around the faith behind the company right now, but that's not, so the coded phrase we use is we create healthy technology. What that really means is that I'm asking the theological question is, what is God's design for technology? And I'm making, in our very primary product, is a phone, because that is the most intimate device, the number one source of distraction for us. So I make a phone and have 1,000 user experience decisions and policies and perspectives that are my best attempt to align with what's God's design for a phone and how it should be in its place in your life. And so that's what we've created, a phone called Wise Phone. That's a very kind of a systematic reset to the way you interact with this device.
Does it limit what you can do, or does it enable you to be in control of what it will do for you? So what's the philosophy?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Philosophically, God gives us freedom to make stupid mistakes. Wise Phone in its current form does not have all the freedoms. You can't do everything on it. There's a lot of stuff that's not on it. No social media, no access to explicit content, no games. Really just, it takes the entertainment out of the device and the distractions as much as possible. And it becomes a very practical tool. Travel tools, blood glucose meters, medical stuff, calling, texting, the basics, the fundamentals. So that's kind of where we've drawn the line. Philosophically, open to the idea of giving people more freedom, but with cautions and hesitations, and the defaults are basically good. And then you have to work your way into evil, knowing that human nature gravitates that way. And we want to disincentivize that type of stuff.
So any internet at all?
As of right now, no browser. We do have a very light AI tool that gives very simple questions. That's kind of a browser replacement. So you need to take your kid to a ballet class and you forgot the phone number, you can ask the question and it kicks back a sentence of text.
That's pretty cool.
We're sort of, playing the hybrid right now.
Yeah. Okay. So it can get you out of trouble if you forgot where you're headed.
Really, yeah. I mean, it keeps me out of trouble. I mean, I made this for my kids, but I also made it for myself and I use it. I've been using it for years and it just makes my life a lot better.
I went to your website, techless.com. I'm like, this device has saved 4,800,460,227 hours or whatever it is, minutes. But you're saving time. Is that the big thing? Is it redeeming the time the big thing?
Yes, I would say there's sort of the, hey, public facing. Yes, we want to give people back time. And at the very least, if we've moved
Yeah.
the needle and hey, you said 10 hours, 10 and a half hours in your opening statement that
Yeah,
adults are
it's
spending,
huge.
if we give them back 8 hours a day,
Hmm.
that's going to be put towards more productive use.
Hmm.
Now, as it depends on us, we want to nudge people even to more redemptive uses of that time. So, for example, we're working on an AI coach, like that can help navigate how can we push that towards more productive, more God honoring uses of that time. But at the very least, we're removing the digital worlds, the abstract realities. So
Who's buying the phone, and how's this getting out?
a lot of organic growth. Probably initially when we first launched, like 90% of our sales were just moms telling moms telling moms.
Okay.
We sell to entire communities. So like a whole homeschool group will buy it or a whole private school will buy it. Um, 75% of our sales are actually to adults who value their mental time and attention, but we designed the device for kids. So it has the safety features of a kid, but it's a very sophisticated, minimalist look and vibe to it. So it appeals to a digital minimalist crowd. But
Yeah.
there's kind of a gamut. Typically higher income because they value their time a little more and their attention a little more.
Hmm. Are you rolling out this new phone for kids? I mean, it's just new, right?
Yes. So Wise Phone's been selling for probably 4 or 5 years. We've definitely gone to a lot of homeschool conventions. It's near and dear to our hearts. But Sage Mobile is a brand new product we just launched in the UK. It's not available in the US, but it is a safe iPhone for kids. And I've wanted to do an iPhone for years. And like one of our early product managers was the guy that made Apple iPad, like good guy, loves the Lord, made iPad team lead. And I asked him if we could do this on iPhone and he just laughed at me. Well, long story short, the cultural pressures have changed and Apple gave us the keys to the kingdom and we can finally lock down the device in the way we need to. So we're working on it. We're working on bringing it to the States, but it's coming.
Wow. So you're actually you're taking the real live iPhone and turning it into something that you can use for your average ordinary kid. Wow.
You got it. And I'm using it right now.
You're
It's
using it
locked
right
down.
now.
It's safe. And it's not hard
Wow.
not the 26 step process that you typically have to do with an iPhone.
That's phenomenal. And when's that coming to the States soon?
I don't know. We want to make sure we own and deliver well on the UK launch. The demand here was astronomically high, and the legislation here, some major tailwinds in our favor. They're being very much more favorable towards this than they are in the US, but we're working our direction, working our way over here.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is England more concerned about it than the US?
I think that they're just further ahead in social policy regarding protection of kids. That's the best way to describe it. So they're more sensitive to different issues. Like they care more about bullying than the US. The US is a much more anti-pornography, freedom from that, protection from that. So there's different nuances.
Chris, you're a dad of 6 and you want to protect your kids. Talk to the tens of thousands of moms and dads listening right now who you need to just wake up to this reality of you just can't let your kids run wild on the internet. What would you say to them?
So I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of kids. I was speaking to a group of 750 kids and asked them very interesting questions like, hey, what would you tell your parents if you could? So I'm actually going to quote from them what they translated for you.
Yeah.
And they said, Mom and Dad, you have no idea what in the world is going on my device, on my browser. I have 2 YouTube accounts you don't know about. I get dick pics all the time. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't have said that out loud, but that is the reality of what's happening, actually. And there is just a tremendous amount of darkness. I mean, I live in a small town, 2,000 people, quintessential America, beautiful family space, very conservative values, and we have horrible statistics on what's going on in that town. And so take the most iconic, beautiful town you can imagine. Now translate it to wherever you're living right now, and I promise you it's very dark.
It's totally homogenous. Doesn't matter if it's Nowhereville, South Dakota, or anywhere in the world, or anywhere in the U.S.
Yeah.
It's just going to be, as dark as can be. Why? Because of the access to media. Media is the one thing that makes it completely homogenous in terms of the darkness and the control that these I would call them principalities and powers have set over the media world. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. I tell audiences this all the time, Chris, all over the world, is we are in a gigantic spiritual battle against the forces of darkness, especially in the area of media.
Yeah, media, technology, even money. I believe that there's a multi-thousand-year plan Satan has to bring us into increasingly more abstract realities, which again removes us from relationship with God and others. And so digital, VR, AI, all of this stuff. I mean, Google is a parent replacement to be the solution instead of you. And it just increases more and more and more as time goes on.
So what are you doing with your kids?
On.
What do you do with your kids? I mean, you have laptops, you have other electronic devices in your house. I mean, what are the standards that you would, I don't know, throw out there and just say, hey, parents, these are the sorts of things you have to think about?
So I'm a little young. My oldest is 9.
Okay.
So we have basically a almost no screen time policy. I mean, maybe once a week we'll watch 30 minutes of Little House on the Prairie or something. So that puts us in a box automatically. But for sure, kids never play with phones. Age 8 and under, never at all. After that, we can use it as a tool, supervised, but it's not their device, and it never will be their device. Maybe when they're 16, or they have a reason, or they're driving, or we might even lend them a phone, one of our devices for, if they need a trip for an hour and a half or 2 hours, something like that.
But you're going to stick to the Wise phone.
Yeah, we're sticking with Wise phone. So honestly, yeah, I'm not worried about it because I made it and I trust it and I know it and I've torture tested it. So it's safe to hand to them. But really early on, the screen time is almost zero. And we just let them play outside and play with books, and they stack up books. They just have a different childhood than most, I would say.
Right. Well, how do folks get the product, or how do they get involved with Techless?
Yeah, wisephone.com is the website to go to. We've been selling them for years now, changed thousands of lives. It's solid, it's working, it's great. And if you really want to hang on to an iPhone, it might be 6 months or so, but we're bringing an iPhone in your direction as well.
So they buy the phone and then they sign up to some plan out there, some other phone plan in their particular area or whatever. Is that the way it works?
And and as a service for our customers, we offer phone plans just to make it easier. I'm kind of neutral whether you use our plan or not, but it's just a one-stop shop. About half of our customers use a plan, half of them buy a phone, and we do have a monthly subscription associated with the device, which is a little atypical. The main thing driving that is we are not supported by ads or selling your data, and that is actually the secret, sneaky little hook that every single free platform out there, your time, your attention, the reason it's all messed up is because they're making $15 a month in ad revenue off of you. And so we just decided to be above the table with that fee. So there's a cost associated with it.
Chris, any thoughts on filters? Any thoughts on Covenant Eyes, whatever? Do you have a theory about that? Are there filters good enough for families?
I know the guys at Covenant Eyes. They're great.
Yeah,
they love the Lord. They're very sincere. We've had many conversations, actually. My overarching thesis is that there are vulnerabilities at almost every single. The reason we had to make a phone was because all the way down in the OS level, there were vulnerabilities. So I don't really genuinely think that filters. There are some that work in their filtered zone, but you can work your way around them, and kids can work their way around them. So I don't think they're an actually effective solution at the end of the day, especially if you have smart kids, which is 70% of them that can try to circumnavigate. But so, I mean, put it this way. When I first started Wise Phone, I tried to turn off everything on Android. I'm like code hacking, just like shutting off every single function on the device to see how minimal I could get it. And at the end of the day, the Google search bar could not be removed. That's a major vulnerability. And there's factory resets, and there's weird little backdoor ways and backdoor browsers, and there's just 100 little gotchas. And so we had to go I didn't want to. We had to go all the way to the OS level, back to the manufacturer for code that gets written once on a chip in order to ensure that this thing would be safe.
Wow. Well, thanks for your service, man. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I mean, this is the kind of stuff we need. Yeah, big time.
Awesome. It's been a great journey, and people like you side by side with us have helped navigate the theological questions that we have. So it's a great conversation.
Good job. Chris Kasper is with wisephone.com, and friends, just check it out. I mean, this may be the only solution. Wow. I mean, I'd recommend covenanteyes.com as well, but at the end of the day, this may be the best way. And certainly all levels of accountability is key for everything we're doing. That's obvious. We have to walk in the light as he is in the light. We can't be hiding out when it comes to any of this stuff, any form of technology. In fact, one of the rules we've made in our home, and we've stuck to this pretty consistently over the years, is that nobody watches anything without somebody else being there. So it's one of the good rules that it doesn't matter if it's House on the Prairie or any other program. If we're watching media, we're watching it together in covenant, in relationship with somebody else. We're not going to be separating ourselves into our own hermetically sealed existence and running off the highway of reality into the pseudo-reality of myself and crawling into myself and dying in an isolated state. Okay, that's not what we want to do. So, friends, you've got to be intentional, thoughtful, deliberate, prayerful on these things. I think that's really the big takeaway today. Chris Kasper, wisephone.com. Please check it out, my friends. Chris, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the conversation.
This has been a production of the Generations Media Network. For more information, go to generations.org/media.